Hello my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works workshop. I have a friend here, Gary Smith, is in the shop today, and he's brought a couple of instruments for me to take a look at, and we're going to look at one of them first, believe it or not. And we're going to look at this Martin guitar. It's kind of a unique one. I don't see very many Martins that look like this. There's your peg head, the inlay, and you can see there it's kind of a cutaway. And what
I think they call it it's like the auditorium or something like that. I don't know what
it says GPC PA1 plus, and then there's a serial number here. Let me read the serial number to you: 1789287. So I'll let you all figure out what it is.
Grand Performance, that's what the GP stands for.
Oh, Grand Performance. Well, I'll let you all figure that out because none of that matters to me. All I care about is what we got to do to work on it. And I believe this one's in for a saddle replacement, it looks like.
Saddle.
Yeah, it's got a, looks like a micarta saddle in here, and he's bought a piece of bone for making the saddle of, and that's really a long piece of bone. So we will cut that off, that's no problem. We can make it work just perfect. We're also going to look at a setup. Now, in my last video, somebody accused me of not checking how straight the neck is. This is how I do it. I know you can't do it this way, but this is how I do it. And I look right down here. There's no straighter line than line of sight. And I can tell if there's a single fret that's not right. You believe what you want. I don't care if you believe me or not. But I can look right down it and tell where the frets have problems.
Looks to me like it's got
it has a little bit, a teeny bit, maybe more underbow than it needs. The truss rod probably could be a half a turn tighter or maybe a quarter turn tighter, but overall it looks pretty good. I don't think we're going to see anything real negative on the frets. It looks pretty good. So, but we will check the action. So let me turn the camera down here and see what the action is at. I'm saying it looks pretty high on the bass side for sure, yeah. Though it may not be as high as it looks. It looks pretty high. Yeah, it's pretty high. It's not crazy, but it's high. It's 100. You can make a case that it's 110 thousandths. So we want it at about 90, so that's like 20 thousandths too high, which is about a half a millimeter if you're keeping score. And on the treble side, it looks pretty good. I think we're about where we want to be on the treble side.
You know, I might have turned that, when I changed the strings, I might have turned that saddle around too.
Okay. Yeah, well, it looks right, I think. I think it looks right. The treble side is, I don't know, you could even make a case that it's a little lower than average. It's about 75. So that's okay. I mean, that's perfectly fine on the treble side. The bass side's 20 thousandths too high. The strings look like they're pretty old that are on here.
That's why I didn't change them.
Yeah,
they are.
And let me just look at the.
I brought those strings with me.
Let me look at the bridge itself and make sure that it's good. And the way I do that is I just take a piece of paper and run it right along the crack there to see if we see it go under there. Piece of paper is only about 4 thousandths thick, so if that goes under your bridge when you check it like this, well, you probably have a problem. But this one's as tight as a bull's rear end in fly time, so so this one's pretty good.
Wow, must be good.
Anyway, it looks pretty good to me. So, based on what I'm seeing, I don't think we need to do too much. We will check the fret level, the levelness of the frets here with a file in just a minute. But I think the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and take the strings off And, well, I'll tell you what, we ought to play it at least just so you have a before and after, I guess. I don't know if it's in tune. I haven't checked it. All right, my first initial opinion is it's flat. In terms, and I mean, I'm talking terms of tone,
yes,
not in terms of intonation. The tone,
it has a tendency to go flat if you let it sit.
the tone seems a little dry or a little flat to me. I think we're going to wake this thing up significantly. It's not bad, but I think we can make some significant improvements on this. So I'm going to turn the camera off, I'll take the strings off, and then we'll go to the next step. Well, my friends, we got the strings off, and the only thing I say about that saddle is it's loose. See how, can you see how much it wiggles? My guess is it'll fall out if we turn it over.
Yep.
And it sure did. See, that's how loose it is.
That's not good.
I like them when you lift up the guitar and, you know, with the saddle, you can actually pick up the guitar if you can get a hold of it. Now, this is so low you couldn't do that anyway, but my point is you should be able to just basically lift the guitar up at least slightly by just picking on the saddle. If it falls out like that, it's just, in my opinion, way too loose. Now, there's really three main problems with that. The first one is that it pulls forward and then it becomes a wedge. Your strings, you can think about the amount of pressure that's on those strings. You got like 60 foot-pounds of pressure or whatever it is, inch-pounds, I don't care, it's just a lot of pressure. And it's pulling forward. Every one of those strings is pulling forward. It acts like a lever, and it'll crack your bridge right across here. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is the fact that it's leaning forward. That messes with your intonation, because this should be sitting up straight, because your intonation is measured from the front edge of this to up here to your nut. So, you know, anytime that's leaning forward, you've just messed your intonation up a little bit. It's not going to be significant, but every little bit counts. The other thing, if it's not standing straight up and down, perfectly straight up and down, you're not getting the pressure down into your guitar top, and you won't have the clarity of tone. You just won't have it. It'll sound okay, but it'll sound better when you get it perfectly straight up and down. And then in this particular case, this is also micarta, which is a man-made plastic, which is really good stuff. I mean, as far as plastic goes, but it's not as good as bone. So we're going to make 4 major improvements on this just by putting in the proper saddle.
That's why I'm here.
There you go. And the first thing we're going to do, though, before I get into the saddle building business, I'm going to just double check the frets. I check them with my little flat homemade fret file or leveling file. And what I do is I very lightly go across here like this. And when I feel it drag, now I felt a tiny bit of drag right there, but not much. Just a little tiny bit of drag, but almost nothing. Like, in fact, it's one of the best ones I've run across. It's really not much. I'm going to go ahead and hit it just a little bit right in here, but it's not much. And in fact, I'm not pressing down. I'm just barely doing anything. I'm just double checking, and it's fine. It really is fine. You don't really need to do anything to this one because it's fine. If it wasn't right, I would know it immediately because I could feel that thing drag on a high fret, and I'd go to work filing like crazy. But there's no point in fixing something that ain't broke. So what I'm going to do instead is take some 600 sandpaper. So what I'm going to do instead of going to a lot of trouble on this, is I'm just going to polish up the frets a little bit, just with this 600. Now, you notice that it looks like I'm just standing on top of the fret, but I'm not. I'm actually standing on the, if there is such a thing as a corner, I'm sanding on the corners. I'm sanding on both sides, not so much on the top. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to change the height of the fret. I just want to clean them up and make sure that there's no grooves or any sharpness on there that could grab a string. I'm just cleaning them up, and I'm not taking anything really off the height. Anytime you're polishing frets or sanding frets, you don't want to take more off of one fret than another, because if you do that, if you're just a thousandth off, you're probably going to have a buzz. Because if you've ever looked at a string, when you press right here, the clearance right here is only a couple thousandths of an inch. So if you get these off by a thousandth or two, you're probably going to create a buzz. The setup is very touchy. But this one's actually set up pretty well already. It just needs a few tweaks. If you can see it in the video, I'm actually going from one side to the other. I'm not staying on the top. The main reason I'm actually doing this is because I ran this file down there and I don't want to have any marks on there. Even though I did it very lightly, I just want to make sure there's no problems that I would have created. That makes them all look like they're just about brand new. You could go to the extra effort of polishing them like a mirror. It just takes extra time, extra cost, all that kind of thing. So there's really no real reason to do that. It doesn't make them play any better, just makes them look real cool. This one has an under saddle pickup. I'm not a huge fan of under saddle pickups, I'll be honest with you, but we can still make a good saddle fit tighter. The fact that this is raised up, there's less for the saddle to grab onto, but that really doesn't hurt anything. We can make it work. Uh-oh. No, we can't.
Still loose?
Yeah, way loose. Like way loose. It's almost loose.
Worse than the first one.
At least as bad. So this saddle would work. I mean, you could make it work, but it would be as loose as this one, if not looser. So there's no reason to do that. There's no catch. As you can see, it's just going to fall out. That's not how I roll when it comes to a saddle. And you'll see a significant difference. We're going to make a deer antler saddle for this. It'll be significantly better. Okay, my friends, we're going to now thin this down, make this is a real big piece of stock. And it doesn't need to be so big, and it'll sand easier if we can cut it down some. I'm just going to get a rough estimate of where to cut it down. I'm still making it plenty big. In fact, it's probably as big or bigger. Yep, it's about the same size as the height-wise that they had. It's still way longer than we need for here. So the length, I like to leave it long until the very end because it's easier to push through my sander. So I'm going to go to the saw and saw that off. I'm at the bandsaw. I've got a piece of deer antler. I'm going to saw out a blank to make a new saddle. So here we go. That's a really solid piece. We should be able to make a really nice one. Okay, the next step is I'm just going to level this off. I've sawed it rough, with the saw, but now we're going to make it flat and smooth. This is the point where Gary says we should have smell-o-vision so they could smell this, right? Because it doesn't smell real great.
Smells like something burning.
Yeah. I think what I'll do is thin it down just a little bit more the other side with my straight edge here. And now we're ready to go through my homemade thickness sander. Okay, you can see I've cut the blank way down, but it's still way too big to fit in this slot. So what I want to do is just get a ballpark idea of how wide is this slot. So we'll take these little, let me double check, make sure they're on 0. They are. So this says that it's 100 thousandths basically right there, which is actually kind of narrow. So I'm going to sand this till we get down to about 115 thousandths. Presently, we're at 160. So I'll go down to about 115 thousandths before I start getting particular. 146. 136. 126. So we ought to be really close to 115 here on this one. We're at 119. And keep in mind, 115 is still big. We're at 114.5. So we're a half a thousandth overshot. All right, I've dropped this down to 114.5, or actually, it just depends how you make. Yeah, that's still 114.5, which is, you know, getting pretty precise when you go down to 0.5. That's 10 thousandths of an inch. But see, it's not going to fit in there yet, and I didn't figure it would. I like to slow down and look at it visually. I'm measuring this at actually just a hair under 100 thousandths. Well, there's 100 thousandths on the nose. So I'm going to go down to about 102 thousandths now and see if it starts to fit in there. Okay, we're going to shoot for 102 thousandths. There's 110 on the money. There's 106. There's 104. There's 102 right there. You can't be that precise without that machine. Okay, we brought this down to 102 thousandths, and it's right on the money there. Now it should still be too big. It starts to go in there, but it's super tight. So I just wanted to check it to make sure, you know, you can always go smaller, but going bigger is really difficult. But you can see there, it starts to go down in there, but if I pushed it down in there, it might actually crack the bridge, and I don't want to do that. So I think what I'm going to do, without changing anything, I'm just going to run it through there again. That ought to take off about 1,000th, possibly 2 thousandths, and then it ought to fit there really, really well. Okay, that was the perfect amount because it's not moving at all, as you can see. It moves the whole guitar, and you can almost pick the guitar up with it. It's just right on the edge there. If it was down in there deeper, you could pick it up, but this is sitting on an angle and it's just a corner down in there. So anyway, that's step one. Step two is to take this old saddle, and lengthwise it's almost right. It's about 10 thousandths off on the length even. So we're gonna make ours a little longer and we'll just make it fit, you know. Okay, so what I do there is I'm going for length now, kind of, and I'm not really going for height yet. So I'll just take a sharp pencil, and I'm actually going to leave it a little long because I don't want to get it short. So I'm going to cut it off like that now, where those two marks are. Okay, I've cut this off, hopefully still long, so I'm going to round one end so it'll fit in the slot better. So here we go. Okay, I just rounded this end off, and the reason you do that is because these slots are rounded on the end, and so this will fit that like a glove now. As you can probably see, it matches it exactly. You can't see a crack anywhere. And then I start to slide it down in there, and then I try to guesstimate to the best of my ability the length of this. Just about the time I get to that end of that mark, that should be just about the right perfect length. Wish me luck. Okay, Gary's sitting here watching me, so he knows that I'm not lying. I have not tried this in here yet, but I'm going to. Now, with any luck, it'll fit, but I have a feeling it'll probably still be too long. It's a breath too long, that's all. I mean, like, it's just the minor amount too long as far as I can tell. Actually, I'm a little bit longer than I thought. I still need to take a little bit off. It's really hard to see it. Maybe get my light down here better. That might help. It's really hard to see it. So I do need to take off a little bit more. All right, I'll try it again. I'm being very conservative because you can always go shorter, but you can't go longer. It's still a little bit long, but I wanted to make sure I didn't go past my mark. It is now just officially a breath away. We'll try again. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this is it. That's it.
Yep, I can see it.
See? And now you should be able to pick up the guitar with it, see? I can't get a hold of it, but if I could, see,
Okay.
there you go, see? That's not gonna fall out, if you understand my point. And it's not overly tight. You can see, and Gary can see, that I didn't force it in there. It just went in there, you know, and it's exactly the size that it should be. You know, like if you're forcing them in there, then you're gonna break something, you know. You want them exactly the right size. And you can't get them more right size than that. All right, now the trick is we need to get it to the right height. That's the tricky part. Okay guys, so we've got the saddle here. It does fit like a glove now. And so if I took this saddle and I trace it, we'll be very close. We'll actually be a little tall on the base end, but we'll be a little, if anything, we'll be a little bit small on the treble end. But we're okay with, I'm okay with the small. I think we're fine on that. But on this base end, we're still going to be a little high. But I'm not going to get in any big hurry about it. I'd rather do it twice and get it perfect than to do it once and have it close. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this off and bevel it. Okay, so we're going to cut out that profile. Now, an important point here is the bottom of that pencil mark is the exact size of the old saddle. So you can see I left just about half of the pencil mark. So we know we're not too small. Now we're going to put the bevel on this, and I go to 15 degrees, and then I use this piece of plastic as a backer because there's a crack there and this will fall down in that crack. So now we're just going to put the back bevel on it. And now, if you're really watching close, you can see the faintest hint of that pencil mark, just the faintest hint of it. Okay, my friends, so now that we've got the saddle cut down and beveled, we're going to go ahead and string this up and just double check it again. I didn't want to try to build it off of the old saddle because you just don't ever know. I'd just soon build it off of the new saddle here as far as the actual, you know, final adjustments. These are medium phosphor bronze. These are Diodario. In fact, it's a EJ17. And so I'm going to go ahead and bevel these pegs too, just because I can. His pins are bone, so they're very good quality. And we've got the string down in the hole. I push with that bevel on there. It's easy to push it past that button. And I pull up on the string and get that button at the top of the guitar as I'm pushing that down. And then I'll show you my technique for stringing. In fact, I'll go ahead and zoom it in here a little bit. I hate to zoom it in because I always get it out of frame. Now that I've got it anchored down there at the saddle end, we just go on the inside of the peg here, like that, and we wrap it around one time, and then we go back around like that, and then we go over the top of the wrap with the string like this, and you just push it through, and then you just pull it up tight as you can get it, actually, and then you just take your nippers, and they were here a second ago, and you just cut it off flush with the top. And the reason I like to cut them off flush with the top is there's nothing left to rattle or create any extra noises.
Nice and sticky too.
And there you go. So it's already, you don't even need a string winder, because when you use this method, you're already tight. You can just a turn or two and you're already, as tight as you need to be. Let's see here, just making sure I'm getting the right string in the right order. They got them color coded, but if you know me, that don't help. Again, I'll show you one more time. We go around we go from the inside around the outside, wrap it once, and then go back around one more time like that. And then you try to go from the inside out with your string. It doesn't really matter that much, but anyway, you try to go from the inside out, it's better. And then you pull it up tight, as tight as you can get it, and lift it straight up. And then you just cut it off flush with the top of the peg, and it'll never slip, it'll never be a problem. And look how quick it gets tight. Can you hear it? Yeah. Gets tight that quick. So you don't need a string winder for the most part, though you could still use one if you wanted to. And one final time here. It's really very quick. You can't do it much faster than that. And I thought I may have not had the string in at the saddle end very well. It may have slipped on me just a little bit, but otherwise it was perfect. Okay, there you go. That's how I do that side. Now the treble side, I actually do it differently. And the only reason is because the strings are so small on the treble side, I like to lock them in place a little bit better. But we do the same thing down here on the tail end, back here at the saddle end. But up on this end, I do it a little different. So let me show you how I do that. All right, so I go, you could do it the same, you could do the exact same thing that you did on the base side. You could do the same thing here, but you would want to wrap it probably at least one more time. So you'd want to go at least like 3 times around. Well, I just don't bother with that. What I really like to do is I like to have the holes perpendicular. Now that's a little bit picky, but you don't have to do this, but it just makes it easier for me. So if the holes are all perpendicular, so then I get up here, I go ahead and go through the hole from the inside out, and well, it's catching on something there. There it goes. And then I pull out most of the slack, not all of it, but most of the slack, like that. Where just a little bit of slack left, I go back around and underneath this string here, lift it up, and then lift up again, and so it's locked under this. So this end of the string is locked under the string. And then you just tighten it up. Now this side you could use a string winder on. You're going to need some more winds on this. But you also want to make sure always that you're winding down the post. And these do that by default by the way that we strung it. But this one here, you could accidentally get above the winding. So you want to stay below the winding and make sure it winds down the post. So even that doesn't take very many turns. But I like to do that on this side just to really lock the string in where it cannot come loose. And that's only because these are so much smaller diameter. It only takes a few seconds to do it once you get used to it, you know. And then I hold this part of the string up tight just with my finger until the winding tightens it up. Again, making sure I go below the winding so that I'm winding down the post. That's very important for a couple of reasons. For one thing, it's just stronger. It's just stronger. Your peg head is not being weakened by having the tension up high on the post. The tension down low on the post is just obviously stronger. So that's the main reason to do it. Over time, it will lessen the wear on your tuning keys also because of that. And if my fingers weren't so sore, I could do this even faster. So there's all 6 strings. All right, so now I'm going to tune it up off camera, and then we'll check the height here and see what we need to do to make the final adjustments. Okay, we got her tuned up, but we have not checked the action yet, and I'm sure it's high. There's no doubt about that. Just got to find my little gauge. There it is. So let's see, but we're probably even higher than we were before, and the reason is because I'm always conservative on this kind of thing, and you can always go lower, you know. Yeah, we're actually at about 130, so we're actually 20 thousandths higher than we were. So, which is kind of what I expected. I thought we'd be higher. It doesn't really matter, you know. It doesn't really matter how much higher you are as long as you're not lower than you need to be. The height is not a problem. So we're at 130 on the bass. We're probably not quite that bad on this side, but we're probably high. We're almost on the money on this side. We're on 80. I guess you could make a case that we're at 85. So what we need to do to get it to the right number, so we want to go to 90, so we're 42 high. That means we need to take 80 off of this side on the bass. Whoops, I didn't zoom back out. I knew I'd forget. I always do. So we're at we're 40 thousandths too high on the bass side. So we got to take 80 thousandths off the saddle on this side to drop it down to where we need to be. On this side, we're only about 5 thousandths too high. So we need to take off about 10 thousandths on the treble side, which is not much. So we got to go from 80 to 10. So that's all there is to it. Now we'll just loosen the strings, pull the saddle out, and mark it, and we'll be good to go. I'll probably only take out maybe 3 or 4 of them. Probably have to take out 4. We'll leave those last 2 in. I think we can get this out without any problem, like that, and just pull it out of there. Here's the important part. We'll take a black marker and we'll mark down here on the bottom on both sides. And then we'll set this at 80 thousandths on the one side. We're right on 0, so we'll go to 80 thousandths. So there's your 80 thousandths gap. Then we take this is on the bass side now, and we will put a mark across there. It's going to be taken off quite a bit actually, but maybe you can see the mark. And on the other side, it's almost nothing. 10 thousandths is nothing. I mean, it really is nothing. there's the crack. You can barely see it. There's 10 thousandths is nothing. So I'm going to mark it the best I can, but the truth is it's really difficult. All right, so now the thing is, I push this into the sander, and of course I'm favoring the base side. So I'm pushing the base side in, and by the time I touch this mark over here, we should be hitting the 80 thousandths mark there. That's what I'm going to go for, and we'll see if it works. Okay, we're at the most critical part. We've got the 80 thousandths mark there, and the 10 thousandths mark, you can barely even see it because it's so close to the edge. We're going to push in the 80 thousandths, and by the time we get to the 80 thousandths, we should just be touching the 10. That's the goal. We won't know until we know, but hopefully that worked. Okay, if that footage turned out, you just saw me do that. It's tedious. That's the most important step. It's the final step. Well, it's the final step except for the fact that we got to check intonation yet. Assuming intonation's good, then we're done. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Let me tune it back up and then we'll show you. Okay, we got her tuned up, so here's what she sounds like. I hear something slightly metallic sounding or something inside, and I have a feeling it's got something to do with the pickup.
That might be a little high in there or something.
Well, I think there's something loose or something that's slightly rattling inside, in my opinion. It's very minimal. It's very minimal. Hardly anybody would hear it, but I'm noticing it. Pretty good. Let's just see where the action landed. Barely 90. It's 89-ish, 90, right at 90, which is what we were shooting for. This should be real close to 80. Uh-oh. Something happened there. We're actually high. We're actually high. I don't know how come, but we're high. Is it sitting on something? Maybe that pickup's not sitting in there perfectly. This side's really close. It's It's right on 90 on that side. We're actually high on the treble. That's very unusual. I'm not sure why. Yeah, we're almost up at 100 on the treble side. It doesn't make any sense. All right, well, I'm going to have to check that out and figure out what happened. Something happened. As far as I can tell, the only thing I can see wrong, because everything looks perfectly right, is maybe this under saddle pickup wasn't down in the hole as good as it should have been. So I don't know, maybe that's it, maybe it's not, I don't know. We're going to just try it again and see what happens. Yeah, it's down in there deeper. I can see it because I could see my black mark before. So it was the under saddle pickup for sure. It was definitely because when I strung it up the first time, after I made my last adjustments, when I strung it up, I noticed that the black mark could still be seen, and I'm going, why is that black mark? I shouldn't be able to see that,
Okay.
And sure enough, that's what it was. It was sitting on that saddle because you can't see it now. It's not there. It was black and white there before.
Well, I say, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm sure
I didn't want a bigger problem.
No, I'm sure that's all it was. All right, so let's try it yet again.
Sounds a lot better than just the last time.
Yeah, okay, I think we may have solved it. It was just simply that the wire goes down through here, and apparently that just got in a bind, and it wasn't all the way down. I think we're fine now, but I haven't checked it yet, so let's check it. Yeah, that's right on the money there. We're actually, we're at right on 90, right on the money, which is where we should be. And this one is about 76-ish, 77. So that's perfect. 80. So we'd rather err on the low side, not get it real high. It's pretty darn clean now. Now let's just double check two things. Let's check intonation first, because it could be off on intonation, but that would be from the factory. But let's see where we're at, because you don't never know. I'll turn this around where you can see it. It's hard to get it just right.
It's a little sharp, isn't it?
Really close, really close. Really close. It's almost perfect, really. Perfect, man. Really perfect. Now here's the B string. That's always the one if there is one. Close enough for my money. I'd say it might be one possible cent off, but it's right on the money, it looks like to me. Right on the money. It's about as perfect on the intonation as it needs to be. Just really good. Okay, well, it don't matter what I think. It matters what Gary thinks. And Gary's sitting right here. He watched the whole thing, so there you go. You want to pick, or you have one?
Yeah, you pick.
Is that too thick, or
Oh, that's pretty thick. That's all right.
you want a thinner one? This one good? It's a medium, kind of, I think.
It's better. pushing it out.
Yeah. Sounds clean. How's it feel?
Feels good. A little dry right now, but you know, I could put a little finger ease on there. And,
Yeah.
no, it sounds good, Jerry. I really kind of like to get them when I get. Thank you.
Well, good. You're welcome. Let me double check. I got sidetracked. I want to check the action at the first fret. I didn't check that, but I think it's okay. But I got sidetracked there because of that pickup issue. Let me just double check that real quick. I think it's
Feels good.
I think it's okay, but I just want to check it. So what I do is I take my Martin thin pick. It's a 16/1000 of an inch thick pick, which is pretty thin. And I just go through here and just check it, and I don't want to see this string move. I would say you're on the edge of just the high edge, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It could be just a little bit better. It can be just a hair better, so let's just make it a hair better. This is one of those things where you do trial and error. You don't get in any big hurry. If you do get in a big hurry, you'll mess up and you'll end up making a new nut, and the nut takes longer than all the rest of it put together. The nut's forever, so you don't want to screw up on the nut adjustments. It's way better to go on and off multiple times than it is to take too much off and wish you hadn't. Still just a hair high.
It's not much though.
No, it's not much, but it's a hair high. So when you get it to pitch, what you can do as a test is hit the string, slide this in. See, you didn't hear it. So it's still too high.
Yeah, it should mute it.
You should hear it, at least touch it. You should just hear something. And we're not hearing anything, so we're still a hair high. It's not very high. It's just a hair high. And you don't want to go too far too fast.
Gauge of string make a difference?
Not much. Now there you go. So you can tell. Now when I press down, see, it doesn't, it's moving just so ever slightly. And that's okay on the bass one. This one's already moving a little bit too, so we'll just do them all real quick. It doesn't take that long, and it'll just play that much better. You'll notice the difference. It'll play that much better. Now when I do this, I rock this a little bit. I I do not want the string tight in the slot like a lot of people do. That's not a good thing. I can tell you for sure it's not a good thing. And the reason it's not a good thing is because your string won't go to the bottom of your nut, and it's pinched in there, and then when you're tuning, you'll hear it go and squeak as it'll jump forward. And you don't want that. You want it to just move through there just perfect. So let's see here, we're just barely moving still. Let me tune it up to pitch. See, still can put it in there without it touching. That should be really, really close now, I think. See? That's like really close to perfect right there. See, I don't know if you can see it well enough, but the string is not moving. When I press that down, it doesn't move. It's right on, and I'm not lifting it when I put it in there. It's exactly where it should be. This one's almost where it should be already. It just barely needs anything, but it needs something. Just a tiny, tiny amount. It shouldn't be much at all on this one. That might even be enough already. Perfect. See, it's if anything, it's still just the fraction of a hair high, but it's not enough to care about. It's so close now. Now we'll go through on the other three, and we'll see this one here is moving a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. It's about like that one. It doesn't need much, but it needs a little bitty something. And since you're here, now's the time to do the something. And you can still see it doesn't even move. I mean, it's just, you can hardly even see it move, and it's still not lifting the string. All of that makes a difference. See, now that one's quite a bit. It goes quite a bit, but it won't take much to get this one down because it's so skinny. Move it over out of the way. The key thing is you angle this at the angle of your peg head. That's the key thing. About perfect. Just right on the money there. Okay, the E string, it doesn't need much, but it doesn't need much, but it could use a little tiny amount. I'd call that perfect. Dude, that's the light pick. You like the light one?
Yeah, I thought hiding that from me because that's your favorite pick to do.
No, you can use that one. I don't care.
Gary. Plays a lot better. Plays better.
Well, one thing for sure, one thing I know for 100% certainty, the saddle ain't gonna fall out when you turn it over. That I know for sure.
Yeah. Can't wait to get to the apartment and play it.
Get who to play it?
Get to the apartment and play
Oh,
it.
yeah. Yeah, Gary's staying in the rental apartment, the Airbnb apartment. Just for what it's worth, if you still want me to work on your instruments, you can still have that happen, but you have to come and stay at one of the Airbnbs, either one of them, and you have to stay at least one night. That's the only way I'm working on instruments anymore. It's just because I don't want the business because of my hands. I don't mind a little bit here, a little bit there, but I don't want it every day, all day long like I used to do. I bet you'll notice it when you put your pickup in too. You know, when you plug it in. When you plug it in, I have a feeling you'll really notice it then. It'll be really clear and. Doesn't sound flat like it did originally, but I think the strings were a good part of that. Well, my friends, if you've enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. And Gary, I hope you're happy with your guitar.
Happy, and I tell people, come down, make a reservation, you got a guitar, and get her done.
Yeah. Well, y'all take care. We'll see you on the next video.
Hey Jerry, this is Gary Smith. I came down there a couple weeks ago and had brought two guitars with me for you to work on. And I just wanted to reach out and thank you and share a little bit about the experience I had down there. The reason I made the trip in the first place was because I watched a lot of your videos and saw how you do your work, and that gave me the confidence to bring mine down there. I play my guitars quite a bit, so how they perform matters to me. And what stood out right away is you don't just do the repair, you go through the whole instrument and really check it over. And when you're done, you don't just hand it back, you dial it in right there. You set the action, check the intonation, tune it up, and make sure everything's right. You're verifying the work as you go, and that meant a lot to me. Those guitars still have that aged tone, but structurally they're right again now, and in my mind they're actually better than when they came off the factory line. But beyond that, the place itself really stood out. The springs, the caves, the ponds, the horses, and the history there with the Civil War relics, the Indian grave, even the coral in the ground. It really feels like a living piece of history. I was only there one night, and honestly I wish I'd stayed that second night just to take it all in a little more. I came down there, get two guitars fixed, but I left with a lot more than that. I'd encourage anyone who's thinking about having work done to make the trip. Take a day or two and experience it. It's well worth it. Anyway, I just wanted to thank you for the work and the time you spent showing me around. And if you ever want to share this with folks, feel free. Thanks again.